top story remains the standoff between the Cowboys, Micah Parsons, and an outstanding trade request. Yesterday, first-year head coach Brian Schottenheimer brushed off the idea of this being a distraction. He's got the backwards visor on. Let's give a listen.
We're still planning on moving Mike around and putting him in all the spots that we see him and using our fronts the way we want to see it. And no, we just, we go about our business every day. We live in the moment. We focus in the moment. And again, like I said, I talked to you guys the other day. I'm not going to get a lot into it, but, I expect Micah to be here.
Okay, this is not great. We welcome in our football panel, and we've got our resident Cowboy, Marcus Spears, on the show. So I'll go, the floor is yours. What do you make of this entire situation?
A debacle, as usual. It is par for the course for the Dallas Cowboys in the offseason. It's been Dak Prescott, it's been CeeDee Lamb, and now we got the other face of the franchise in Micah Parsons. And I was going to throw a fit about the contract not being done and all of these things. And then I had to remember, Myles Garrett did the same thing. And I thought it was over. I thought the relationship was severed in Cleveland. And he came out and talked about making $40+ million per year. So I'm not going to focus on the contract. I'm going to focus on how this affects football on the field. And I've been having this argument forever with people. It absolutely translates when you're trying to get ready for a football season. That's my biggest concern. One, your best defensive player is not out there on the field during training camp. Two, I hear Shotty talk about it's not affecting the players. You don't think it's affecting players when they change their Twitter handles and Instagram handles? And when CeeDee Lamb comes out and says, pay the man, we got to go through this again? All of those things lead to team chemistry, prepare for a season to try to win a game. 2 months ago, I was telling everybody, it's quiet in Dallas. I always feel good when it's quiet. There's just practice going on. The birds are chirping. It's hot outside and everybody just working. And it never fails. We get to a certain point in the offseason when they take the headlines for all of the wrong reasons. Not paying a player, not paying their star player, and not having flexibility to sign other players because they always wait till the 11th hour to sign the faces of their franchise.
Marcus, I got to ask you, I'm going to follow up here because I was expecting you to come shot out of a cannon, fired up. You almost seem resigned to the fact. You almost seem defeated. This is a defeated sounding Marcus Spears on a Tuesday morning when I was expecting cannon fodder. Is that how you feel right now? Here we go again?
Well, Shrey, when somebody, if you walk into a building and somebody slap you in the face every time, at some point you just got to have your hands up ready to fight. You can't always walk in there talking about, oh, I got slapped again. No, we know what's happening in Dallas. This is very familiar to everybody. So like I said, okay, initial reaction was a mess. I was pissed off. But ultimately, this is a part of a negotiating tactic when it comes to the contract part. The part I'm fired up about is we're probably going to be sitting here again at the end of the year talking about Dallas not getting an opportunity to go make a playoff run. And everybody knows it. We're going to revert back to, well, in the offseason, they had all this trouble with Micah, and we saw this team kind of fall apart. And we saw them not become what we thought they could potentially be this season.
Field Yates, there's 30 NFL owners. There's the Green Bay Packers who don't really have an owner. And then there's Jerry Jones. What do you make of the Jerry Jones of all this?
Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys in 1989, Shriggs. We now have 36 years to have expectations of what an offseason will look like with Jerry Jones and what a star contract negotiation is going to look like with Jerry Jones as well. I'm almost nonplussed by this. I almost have no reaction. You know why? Because I expected this. Brian Schottenheimer has been with the Cowboys now for 3 seasons. This will be year number 4. Obviously, his first season as a head coach is probably like, oh, this is our August tradition, right? Some incredibly talented player who's very deserving of a new contract is not available because we couldn't get our I's dotted and our T's crossed at some point. This is the experience that I think Brian Schottenheimer acknowledged he signed up for when he accepted this job as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. And Jerry Jones, By the way, we've got almost 4 decades worth of evidence that even if by all accounts it's illogical, and there are so many ways in which the Cowboys could benefit their own franchise by being more aggressive with their offers earlier in the process to star players, he's not going to change. Jerry believes that the way that he has gone about his business for almost 40 years now is a totally reasonable and fine operating procedure. So to me, if we're getting to the point now where we're expecting Jerry Jones to change, it's like chasing a ghost. It's just never going to appear. So it's not good for the Cowboys. It's not good for Micah Parsons. It's not good for their new defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus. And yet I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what else would you expect?
Yeah, and Jeff Darlington, we bring you in here. Fill in the blanks. Is this story being overblown now because it's a famous player on the Cowboys, or is this real reason for concern?
No, I mean, this is like arguably the best defensive player in the NFL. I don't think it's being overblown. I just don't really care necessarily about Micah Parsons' feelings. I don't care if Jerry Jones talks to him instead of his agent. I don't really care about anything other than the fact that this continues to hinder the depth of the Cowboys roster. Like, when you really get down to it, it's not about the feelings of the player. It's not about the culture of the locker room. It's the fact that if you had paid him sooner, significantly sooner, you would save money and be able to sign better players that ultimately, when your starting guard goes down in the middle of the season, you're going to have good depth behind him ready to step up. To me, that is the way to build a winning franchise. That's what we see with teams like the Eagles and the Chiefs. It's not a class system where we end up paying the best 6 players on our team top-end market deals and then have to suffer elsewhere. Being prudent, being smart, but getting ahead of it, that's how you build a winner. That's the problem with what's going on with the Cowboys right now.
All right, so while that's going on, and that's the issue, Swagu, jump in here, because I think there's a lot of questions on it. Okay, we know that's happening, but what's your take?
So what Jeff brings up is the most important part, right? What he brings up is actual moves that you can make to try to win games. Y'all, we said here last year, talked about, well, why wouldn't Dallas try to make a run at Derrick Henry? That wouldn't have made a change in how the season went. Potentially, outside of having a better running back position, there's a lot of things going on. But that is the point. And Jerry always wants, he said it, the fans don't lose any sleep. Well, you lose sleep because it affects the football team. And when you get on the field on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays, every day of the week, we play this damn game now during the year. So ultimately, as much as you want people to relax and not focus on the contract has things that come off of it. It has things that are affected by this contract not being done in a timely manner. So no, I'm not going to trip on Micah Parsons getting paid. You know the age-old tale in the NFL? Star players get paid, and they get paid a lot of money. That is not changed. Through a contract dispute, through a non-contract dispute, through a when we didn't think it should happen, and it happened, that they usually always get paid because your film is your resume. But ultimately, with this franchise in particular, for as much as we bring our butts on here and talk about Super Bowls, and is this the year the Cowboys can make a playoff run? Everything seems to be in order. It's a new vibe around the building. You get George Pickens in free agency, and then we end up in the same place we've ended up the last 3 years. And that is the problem that the fan base has. Not the fact that they're worried about you not signing Micah Parsons. They're worried about your ass not winning games when it matters, because at some point, this is going to come back as something that affected either team chemistry, camaraderie, to Jeff's point, depth, and you weren't able to make moves to position yourself to weather a storm that we know happens during the NFL season.
Jeff, I'm going to give you the last word here. We got the visual of Shoddy with a backwards visor. He says everything right the entire way, and now there's some rocky roads. Is Shoddy already behind the 8 ball here before the season even gets started?
Schottenheimer knows how to deal with this stuff. That's the reason he's in this position. I'm not really as worried about him. I am more worried about what he has to do for this offense, which he's capable of, but the offense is going to have to be perfect without Micah Parsons. They're going to have to grind clock with a running game that's non-existent. Dak Prescott is going to have to stay healthy for 18 games. It's just 17. It's just going to be very difficult for this team to make a run when they have to be perfect if they don't have Micah Parsons.
Understood. All right, guys, we got plenty more on the Micah Parsons deal. Great way to start the show. Well, one of the newest Steelers in town says their defense is the best he has ever seen. What do we say about that? We'll get into that after this and much more, of course, on Parsons and the Cowboys. Dallas could trade him, but what would they get in return? That answer is straight ahead as well. Stick with us, guys.